Today's subscription spot, we're having a look at the original Craft Beer Club, the beer subscription service. You can go to www.craftbeerclub.com, and every month you'll get yourself 12 assorted beers. Now in this case you actually get 4 beers, and then you get 3 of each beer, so you get 12 in total. Along with it, you get yourself a card. It says, make your Craft Beer Club membership the best gift ever. If your gift is more than 1 shipment, your next shipment will arrive during the last 2 weeks of the scheduled subsequent months. An adult signature is required with each delivery. We recommend using a business or work address. And if you wish to receive a shipment tracking information or change your delivery address, they give you also a phone number that you can call. So of course, the month subscription service from Beer Club came and got 4 different beers. We're going to have a look at those individually. I know it's a little bit different than the other subscription videos that we've had look at here, but we're going to have a look at the 4 individual beers. You also get included with your box, you get food for your brew. In this case, coconut ceviche, consisting of shrimp and scallops and stuff like that. Down below you also have trivia time. What is spontaneous fermentation? Spontaneous fermentation is when brewmasters use wild yeast to ferment their beer. Wild yeast is all around us and floating in the air. The use of wild yeast in spontaneous fermentation can result in an unpredictable fermentation. This type of brewing was common in the ancient times before man knew how to cultivate yeast cultures. How is a microbrewery defined? A microbrewery is defined by the Brewers Association as a brewery that produces less than 15,000 barrels of beer per year, with 75% or more of its beer sold off-site. And then you also, on the other side there, you have the original Craft Beer Club microbrew news, talking about the different breweries, and it gives you a breakdown of the individual companies that you're going to be getting in this month. So for example, we have the Craft Lady, we have the Franconio, and I want to make sure I actually pronounce this name correctly. We have the Colt German Style Ale, gives you your alcohol content, 4.8%. We also have the Dunkel, 4.4%, and we'll read up these individually when we have a look at each of the individual beers. You also, in this case, I got a couple of glasses, little small original Craft Beer Club glasses, www.craftbeerclub.com. And finally, also got myself a bottle opener, a nice heavy-weighted bottle opener. A nice touch as well. The one thing I also really like about this particular club too is it's one of the few clubs that works directly with the brewery in having the brewmasters create a new batch of beer specifically for their members, which means as soon as the beer is bottled, canned, or packaged and we receive it in the house, it's then quickly quality sent out to the customers, as opposed to a club that just, you know, let's say uses the beer that simply isn't selling or that was overproduced. So when you're getting bottles like this, you're getting bottles basically directly from the source right away, and it's being delivered right to your door. So that being said, let's put some of these aside. This is obviously a subscription service, I should say, that is geared more to the adult subscribers, and not less, again, something that younger kids will be subscribing to. But again, I'll put all the information down below if you guys want to head over to the original Craft Beer Club, and again, if you want to subscribe to their service. So let's make use of this fine bottle opener that was provided with the box that arrived. Now, I didn't show the full-size box. We're looking at the 4 individual beers, but the thing is, the box would have been in a big brown cardboard box and would have housed all 12 beers. Because, again, we're only looking at the 4 beers that came in the box, I figured instead of showing the full box, I would just discuss in an adult fashion where we would discuss the individual beers themselves. So, for example, I'm going to have my little reference guide here with me. For example, the first one we're going to have a look at is the Franconia Kolsch style beer. Authentic German style beer, proudly brewed in McKinney, Texas. And the read-up, actually, I got my little read-up here right here. It says, a light golden refreshing German ale, the Franconia Kolsch is inspired by the classic ales enjoyed in the mid-region of Germany, also called Cologne. The Kolsch is brewed in 2-row pale malt, malted wheat, and Munich malts in addition to special ale yeast to give it a hint of citrus and floral aromas. And the flavors are light and refreshing with some citrus in the beginning, followed by a nice dry hoppy finish. I am actually going to try to use these with the glasses themselves. We're just going to open this up. And I found with some of the like the German beers, they tend to have a good head right away when you open up the beers. I'm going to pour some into a glass just so you guys can see the coloring, as you can see right there, of the beer. It's a lighter golden colored beer as opposed to some of the darker ales. And you know what? We're going to feel like an adult. I'm going to drink this out of the glass, and then I'll discuss, share with you my feelings on the beer. So this is the Franconia Kolsch style, German style beer. Here we go. We're going to give this a try. That's a nice flavored beer. It's not overly strong. I do taste a little bit, it has that malt flavor, but it's not a strong ale, which I like. It's got that kind of, it's very smooth. Like, it feels like all the flavors kind of come together very well. It's not bitter, which is probably the one thing I'm not a big fan of. Some of like the heavier ales, they do tend to have more of the that bitterness to it. This is a nice, subtle, but still very smooth ale. That is a fantastic way to start. The Franconia Kolsch German-style beer. Putting that to the side, we're next going to move on to the next beer in this sample. And you can see I've taken the bottles and chilled them. Obviously, you would want to keep them in the fridge. Beer is always better cold. We're going to be looking at the Summer of Lager, the Cisco Brewers Nantucket. And just before we open that up, let's just quickly have a look at the read-up. It says, as the name suggests, the Summer of Lager is not the perfect choice, or is the perfect choice for hot summer nights. Golden in color, Cisco's Summer of Lager has a delicious malt palate and an assertive noble hop finish, but the hints of citrus, tangerine, grains, and herbs keep the flavor profile light and crisp. The beer finishes with earthy herbal notes. I don't know what it is. Lately, I find I'm really getting into citrus-inspired, citrus-flavored beers as opposed to just straight-out flavors. And they seem to be doing that a lot more now with ales, with beers as a whole. There's a lot of companies coming out now releasing things, you know, grapefruit, other different citruses in their beers. I'm going to take actually another one of the beer club glasses, and I'm going to pour this one off. And just by comparison, I left a little bit in the other one here, the Franconia Kolsch, so you can see this one has a little more of a golden color to it than the other one. Still has a nice frothy head to the top. I like that. All right, let's give this a try. This Summer of Lager, the Cisco Brewers Nantucket beer. Here we go. Let's give it a try. This one has like a little more of like a kick to it versus the Kolsch that we first had a look at. The Kolsch, by comparison, is a little lighter of a beer. This one is a light flavored beer, but it does seem to have a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little more of like that beer kick to it. It's not a strong flavored beer by no stretch of the imagination, but it does have a little more of that kick to it by comparison to the Kolsch. It'd be one of those things that if you were trying these four beers, basically one after the other, which is what I'm doing, right after the Kolsch, if you had the Summer of Lager right afterwards, you would have noticed it would have had a stronger beer flavor to it. I don't necessarily, let me try another sip here. I don't notice as much of the citrus flavors that I noticed with the Kolsch. It doesn't seem as predominant. Not that the Kolsch did have a more predominant citrus flavor, but I feel like this one isn't as covered versus the Kolsch. It's not bad, but I think of the two, I prefer the Kolsch just a little bit more. Put that down and move this one aside. Next, we're going to be having a look at another Francolino, and this is the Dunkel, and this is the Dunkel Beer, authentic German style beer. Once again, and nice, as you can see, the indication of a nice cold beer is when you can run your finger down it, and you can see the condensation on the side. As we open this one up, and again, we're going to just reference the read up here. It says Francolino's Dunkel, or dark in Germany, is brewed as a lager with 2-row malt, Munich malt, and some roasted malt. It's also spiced with German hops from Hallertau and a German lager yeast to give the beer its nice dark color. The blend of malt and hops give a nice balanced, dry, toasty flavor with a hint of mocha and slightly sweet dark chocolate on the finish. This beer is a nod to time-honored history, made in the classic Munich Dunkel lager style. And of the different beers, I don't know if I gear as much. Whoa, let's pour ourselves off some there. We got a little bit of an extra froth coming out from this particular beer. I wasn't certainly expecting that. This one had a little more froth going on there. I'm gonna actually probably just drink this right out of the bottle. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. I do certainly apologize for that. That beer has a considerable... In fact, as you can still see, it's frothing. It's continuing to come up to the top of the bottle. I was not certainly expecting that. As for the flavor, as we watch the foam progress its way up to the top, the flavoring is, again, that darker flavor, the darker lager style of beer. It's normally something I'm not crazy about. It does seem to work quite well, though, with the Dunkel. Downside, though, of course, is it has a considerable head. It doesn't seem to fare as well. Well, it's faring a lot better in glass than it is in bottle, but you can see how it still continues to rise out from the top. By the way, excuse me, on the side of the bottle, it says, in 1800, our great-grandfather, Schubert, began our family's heritage at its Frankel Brewery in Tana, Germany. Today, our rich tradition of naturally brewing authentic German-style beer using the purest ingredients as carried on the Francolino Brewing Company in the heart of McKinney, Texas. A good beer, if you like, the lager style of beers. I kind of gravitate a little bit more towards the ales than I do the lagers, but it's not pungent. It's not a very sharp flavor that some of the malt lagers tend to have. The flavoring is actually quite nice on this. It's just a shame, though, that it frothed up as much as it did. I think of the two Franconia flavors, I think I gear a little more towards the Kolsch than I do the Dunkel. The Dunkel's good if you like lagers, but again, I kind of go a little more towards the golden ales as really my preference for when it comes to beer. Finally, and let's hope the beer doesn't want to get too out of hand. It's still frothing away there. Finally, let's bring the clean glass around here. Finally, we're going to have a look at the Grey Lady Cisco Brewers Nantucket. And it's beer brewed with spices and natural flavors. There is a read-up, by the way, on the top. It says, let's spin around here. It says the name Grey Lady comes from the nickname for the often foggy island on which it is brewed. This hazy Belgian-style wit emits a complex nose with sophisticated roots. Sorry, I keep looking at the Dunkel. It's still... Okay, now it's starting to... There it goes. It starts to subside now. And the read-up, quickly, on the Grey Lady. The Grey Lady's read-up says, Cisco's Grey Lady Ale is named for the often foggy island, which, again, we just read here. Foggy Island, where it is brewed. A unique wheat ale, the Grey Lady is fermented with Belgian yeast and brewed with fresh fruit and spices to keep the aromas and flavors complex. The aromas and flavors are soft and harmonious, with notes of tropical fruit and spice. This is a Cisco favorite and an easy drinking beer if you're sure to want more of, or you're sure to want more of. finally, let's open this up. The Grey Lady Cisco Brewers in Nantucket. Pour ourselves off some. Luckily, it's not frothing up. Let's also compare it over to some of the other ones that we've had a look at. You can see that this has a lighter color than, which was the summer, the other Cisco flavor here. And even still, it's about the same color as the Coles, give or take. It's a little bit lighter, not by much though. Let's give this a try. The Grey Lady beer brewed with spices and natural flavors. This probably will be one that I'm gonna be more interested in, kind of in that ale category of beers, but with the spices and stuff like that, that might actually turn out to be a good solid beer. Let's give this a try. The Grey Lady from Cisco Brewers. Here we go. That's nice. I don't know if I would say it has cloves in it, but I feel like it's got that hint of clove, that kind of spices. This would not certainly be a beer that you would not want to have warm, but it kind of has that kind of warm home, at home kind of feeling where you're having something that has spices in it. It would be an ideal beer if I could describe this, and probably badly. It would be a good beer to have with like an apple pie. Apple pie where you're thinking the spices, the nutmeg, the cinnamon, and start incorporating a beer like this. Again, you're not going to probably drink this kind of beer with something like an apple pie, but this would also be good, I would imagine, with like a pork. If you're one that has pork with like apples or like a, you know, like a ham, it's again, it's got that really nice light flavor. It's not a solid, like it's not a strong flavored beer. It's very subtle in its flavors, but it's the spices and stuff like that that I really enjoy. This one potentially is probably my favorite of the 4 beers that we've had a look at. The one that I probably would say I dislike the least, and I don't say dislike, but it's a flavor that of the 4, I'm not as geared to drinking, is the Dunkel. It's just got that more darker malt kind of feel to it. My favorite probably is the Grey Lady. I do like that quite a bit. Today's subscription spot, we were having a look at the original Craft Beer Club. If you guys are interested again in having beers delivered to your door every single month, you can go to www.craftbeerclub.com and you'll get an assortment of beers. You'll get 4 different flavors like we've been looking at right now. And again, the one good thing I like about it, as with other subscription services too, is you're getting a lot of times, you know, direct from, in this case, direct from the brewers to you, and you're helping the brewers out, which again, I'm always a big supporter of helping out your the local brewers, or the brewers again within the areas that these companies are getting their supply from. But it gives you also a chance to try flavors that while you're in beer stores you may not ever pick up. This kind of gives you a sampling that I might say to myself afterwards, hey, you know, I really liked the Grey Lady from Cisco Brewers. I might be more inclined to pick it up. It may not be a beer that I would have picked up, you know, during my visits to the beer store, but you know what? Now I might be more inclined to pick this up for future visits. Certainly stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more subscription spots heading your way as we have a look at other subscription boxes, some beer, some clothes, some other things, as we have a look at other things that can come to your door every single month. Thanks for watching as you always do, guys. I'll see you next time.